Hey, I want to welcome you to a moment in church history on the Bonafide Man podcast. I'm Marty McLean, and I want to talk to you today about King Oswiu of Northumbria and the Synod of Whitby that happened in 664 AD. There would be a decision that would be made by Oswiu that would affect the direction of the Anglo-Saxons there in England. It was a church decision. This was back during the days when the church and kings were all up in each other's business. And what you had is you had Celtic Christianity that had originated in Ireland. It came over, hit the north in Scotland, was coming down into the Anglo-Saxons. It also came in from the west. Then you had Roman Christianity that was coming up from the south. Now the Romans, they had the bishops and the archbishops. They had a certain calendar by which they would celebrate Easter. And the Celtics, they were under the abbots who were head of the monasteries. They had a different calendar, and their monks had some weird-looking haircuts, and it really messed with the Romans. The Anglo-Saxons, they needed a unified church, and the Roman tradition of the church, they were very offended by the Celtics, and they wanted something done about it. The King Oswiu of Northumbria, he was actually under the influence of the Celtics. His wife was under the influence of the Roman church. It made it where, like they would say, on one Sunday, he would be celebrating Easter, and on the same Sunday, she would be fasting for Palm Sunday. And so there was issues even in the king's family over the differences between the Celtic Christianity branch and the Roman Christianity. And so they wanted it to be settled, especially those who were from the Roman tradition. And so they had this synod at Whitby. During the course of it, the Celtics say, look, we can trace our decisions that we make back to the Apostle John. And they had a certain calendar. They had certain practices they had that were different from the Roman church. But then the guy representing the Roman church, he said, look, we can trace ours back to Peter. Now, you may have a good saint here in the Celtic tradition or whatever, but can't be any better than Peter, because it was to Peter that Jesus said, I will give you the keys to the kingdom. And so when King Oswiu heard that, he turned to the representative from the Celtic church. He said, is it true that Peter has the keys to the kingdom? And he said, yeah. And so here's the decision that the king was going to make that would affect the trajectory of England and whether or not they'd be unified in the church, whether or not they'd have a unification with the European continent when it came to Christianity. He says, quote, Peter is guardian of the gates of heaven, and I shall not contradict him. Otherwise, when I come to the gates of heaven, there may be no one to open them, because he who holds the keys has turned away. The King Oswiu, he changed his mind. His wife couldn't change his mind because she was of the Roman tradition. But when he heard that Peter holds the keys to the kingdom, he was kind of a little bit scared, said, you know, if Peter has the keys to the kingdom, when I die and go up there, I may need to get in, and he may not let me in if I choose the Apostle John's tradition over Peter's. Now, this is kind of messed up theologically. Peter does not hold the keys. He's not there at the gates of heaven. Some in the Middle Ages, they would teach that, they believe that, but that's not good theology. But that was the motivation behind King Oswiu and making a decision that the church, the Anglo-Saxon Church in England, would follow the Roman tradition instead of the Celtic tradition. You know, big decisions sometimes are made out of weird motivations. And these decisions affect a lot of people's lives and affect the direction of a whole nation. So the Synod of Whitby, King Oswiu, Peter holding the keys to the gates of heaven, all that worked together to change the direction of the nation that would become known as England. That's a moment in church history.